Hey everyone, it's John from Rain King LLC. Here's a GMU Extra. This week, we're going to look at a hack on the 3 most important weeks in a base. So what I mean by hack, just to begin, is this is going to save you some time to do a quick review of a base. It's not intended to replace all the due diligence that you should be doing in analyzing bases, but when you're looking at hundreds of charts over the weekend, weekly charts, this might help you out. So it takes time to analyze bases. We're really trying to understand, is the stock under accumulation or distribution? So the hack we're going to look at is going to look at 3 important weeks in a base. We're going to look at the largest weekly spread or range. We're going to look at the biggest volume week in the base. And we're going to look at the bottom of the base, the weeks at the bottom, and what are they telling us? And we'll go over one additional checkpoint, which is 3 weeks off the bottom. And we're trying to ask ourselves, what are these 3 key weeks telling us? And are giving us positive or negative signs? So here's Weibo from 2016. The weekly chart is on the left and the daily on the right. So if we look at the largest weekly spread, in this case, the largest weekly spread is a blue week. And you can see that it actually has a peak close, which is all very, very positive. So that's good. The second is the biggest volume week. Now, the biggest volume week in this base is over here on the right side. And it's actually a blue week, and it closes at the peak on big volume. That's another positive sign. The third thing we're looking at is the weeks at the bottom of the base. You can see here that we get a reversal at the bottom of this base, and it actually reverses on the week that has a peak close. So that's also very, very positive in construction. So a very quick overview of this base, it looks to have potential. On the right side, you can see the daily chart, and you can see that this stock actually broke out in early April of 2016, and it actually went to go on to a significant move. More recently, here's Celsius on a weekly chart from 2023. So we want to quickly get a sense of what's going on in the base. So the largest weekly spread. In this case, the largest weekly spread is on the left side of the base. It's red, and it's on big volume. So that's not a positive, that's a negative. The second thing is the biggest volume week. We can see here that the biggest volume week is blue, and we actually get a good close. So that's constructive. We like to see that. Now at the bottom of the base, the weeks at the bottom of the base, we're not getting a whole lot of information. The volume is fairly tame. It's a fairly benign bottom. So we're not getting a whole lot of information. Sometimes you don't. But if you don't get it on the weekly chart, take a look at the daily chart. Again, you can see the daily chart. Here's the bottom. As the stock tried to come off that bottom, there's a couple of positive things happening. We have a whole bunch of tight closes as we retest that bottom of the base. And then we get this surge of up days in a row. We get up days 15 out of 17 days. Very constructive. And eventually the stock gapped out on big, big volume. So sometimes if the weekly chart is not giving you enough information, delve into the daily chart. Here's NVIDIA on a weekly chart on 2018. Same exercise. The largest weekly spread of this particular base was red. And it's actually happens to be the biggest volume week of the base. So large spread, large red volume, these are actually negatives. The weeks at the bottom of this particular base occur over here. And at the bottom of this base, we see that we get a big red week on higher volume than the next week. The next week is a blue week, peak close, but the volume is really, really weak on this rally attempt. That combination is really negative. It's not good. It means there's more distribution than accumulation going on in this particular base. And you can see on the daily chart, the stock tried to break out, ran into trouble right away, then completely broke down. Here's Twilio from 2021. Double bottom base. What's the largest spread week? It's over here on the left side. It's very large spread, pretty good size volume. So that's a negative. The second is the biggest volume week in the base. Well, the biggest volume week is also a red week, and it has a very, very poor close, as you can see in the bottom towards the bottom of the range. Not a positive, negative again. And the third is what happened at the bottom of the base. We get a reversal at the bottom of the base, but the blue volume, again, is weaker than the red distribution volume. So we're not getting positive signs on a very quick read of this base. And if we look at it on the daily chart, you can see the stock tried to break out of that double bottom, immediately reversed, tried to go again to break out, and it eventually failed and sold off hard. So we were getting clues early that the base was under more distribution and not accumulation, so it should have been avoided. Now here's the bonus checkpoint. Looking at the first 3 weeks off the bottom can help us understand how strong the base is. So the key is to look at this and say, how much ground is being made up from the bottom of the base after 3 weeks? If after 3 weeks we're still in the lower half of the base, it's probably a laggard stock and probably weak. If in 3 weeks we can get into the upper half of the base, it's usually a sign of a stronger situation showing accumulation. Here's a couple of examples. So we have a cup base that happens to be 31% deep. We just measure from high to low, and we draw the midpoint. After drawing the midpoint, we look at these first 3 weeks coming up off the bottom. In this case, we're still in the lower portion, the lower half of this base, so it's a weaker structure. Here's an example of a cup base, and again, high to low, take the midpoint, and you can see after 3 weeks, we're in the upper half of the base, showing us that more likely this is under accumulation and a stronger situation. And a third example here is, again, another cup base where you can see the strong push on the right side. In only 3 weeks, the stock has gone from the low of the base up into the upper half of the base. So it's a small sign that, again, this is under accumulation, and you might want to go deeper in your analysis. So putting those all together, it's a quick hack. It can help you get a quick read on a base. It's not a replacement for doing thorough analysis, but it does give you a quick sense of how strong it is. So that's the GMU Extra, and the hack was 3 most important weeks in a base. We'll see you at the next one.